So call 1-800-910-1866 or go online now.
Fox News Alert, you can see the scene in Newtown, Connecticut, as we have remained with the number of 26 dead, 27 including the gunman, 18 children in all, believed to be a kindergarten class. There are reports now from other news outlets, not yet independently confirmed by Fox News, that the shooter may have been the son of the kindergarten class teacher. We are working to confirm that. Please take it for what it's worth. Two other news outlets now reporting that, but we are not yet able to independently confirm that. We did hear earlier that the body of a woman had been found in a house nearby the school, and that she may have had ties to the shooter as well. We were told that the shooter lives in Hoboken, New Jersey, but was from Newtown, Connecticut originally. So the story seems to be getting pieced together now. We're doing our best not to get ahead of our skis on it, and we'll try to be respectful of that with you, so bear with us. I want to get now to Ken Trump, who is president of National School Safety and Security Services. Ken, thanks for being here. Something didn't go right here. How can we learn from it?
Megyn, this hits home more than you'll ever know. Actually, as you know, as a mother, I was standing on the playground of my own children's school, supervising elementary kids as this started breaking today as a parent volunteer. And we know at elementary school levels very often when we see violent incidents arise, shootings or serious altercations, that they come from domestic situations, either between parents, non-custodial parents, or school employees. So as this news is unfolding, what you just described really could possibly fit some of the things that we've seen in the past. I want to say first, along with my prayers going out to the families as a father, that parents need to, across the nation, are going to be asking questions at their children's school. They're doing so now even at my own school. I just got a text. And parents need to remember that they should be sending their kids to school next week, because this is the time where schools across the country will be safer, because this is the forefront of our mind. What I want parents to know is that we need to be talking about school safety in the weeks, months, and years ahead. As we've looked at budget cuts at schools, focus on important things, academics, test scores, education reform, financial issues, it's very easy for school safety to fall to the back burner. And you hit on something very important earlier when you talked about or alluded to training our staff. We can have the physical security equipment, the locks on the door, the buzzers, the cameras, the intercoms, but we have to train our school employees. We have to train our parents not to piggyback in when someone ahead of them goes in the door. We need to talk about situations in our families and share those as school employees with our employers if there's a risk. And we need to be working with age-appropriate levels with kids to have drills. We don't need to teach our kindergarten kids to attack armed intruders and throw pencils at them.
Happen.
But we need to train, and I don't believe we need to have a metal detector at every door or a SWAT team searching people. But I do know that we need to have alert staff. We need to do our training.
Ken, what about, is it, I was talking about this earlier with Bob Strang. Is it crazy talk to think about, do parents now need to be thinking about pooling their resources to pay for an armed security guard, to be, we have them at the banks to protect our money. Do we need to be paying for them to be at our schools to protect our kids? I mean, if an armed police officer, former police officer, security guard had been on site, could this man have unleashed the type of damage he apparently did?
We do have school resource officers, as they're called, school-based police officers, and there's actually, ironically, some civil rights special interest groups and others have just this week been before Congress complaining about police officers in schools, and I think that we need to really take a look at the role of the officer. I support having school-based police officers. I think that it would be a function from an implementation end that the schools would have to do.
Ken, my apologies. There's breaking news outside of the hospital. Going to stand you by and go to WNYW, the reporter there. Let's listen in.
Came out and they gave very limited information. They were talking about 3 patients who were brought here, but they would not go into particulars about who these people are at all, whether they are male or female, children or adults. They wouldn't say anything whatsoever. They said that they're in the process of notifying the families, and maybe they would end up having a news conference in the next half hour to an hour or so. And at that point, they're still not saying whether or not they're going to be giving us any more information as far as the particulars of these people. However, we did hear that who these 3 people are. One is a teacher who was shot either in the foot or the leg, and the other 2 are children. And we were told, or we are hearing, that those injuries are not life-threatening, which is so good. That is such good news here good news to hear about these 3 people, considering the tragedy that this town and all of these poor families are dealing with. Now, I'm going to step out of the way because we have cameras that are set up here. You know, you've got the local reporters here in Connecticut, as well as reporters from New York who came up. You can see all of the cameras lined up there waiting to see whether or not there's going to be a news conference. The location where they have us, we're actually on the campus of the hospital, but we're at the Medical Arts Center. So I want to...
What a headline out of the hospital, that the 3 victims, we had been told 3 victims had been taken, I believe it's Danbury Hospital in Connecticut, had been taken. We had precious little information on them, but now you heard it from our WNYW affiliate reporter that those 3 individuals are believed to be in a position to recover, that their wounds are not life-threatening, and that is a big relief in a day of unspeakable tragedy. I want to get back to Ken Trump. Ken, so that you were touching on the issue of armed guards in schools, and you raise an interesting issue that some people have a real objection to that. I suppose the thought is, you know, do we really want somebody with a loaded gun walking around our school campuses when it may not be necessary? When thank God, in 99% of circumstances, it's never necessary.
Well, one of the things that we work very hard at in training schools on school emergency preparedness and response is to have a relationship with their local law enforcement. There are many school police officers assigned from local law enforcement, county sheriff's detectives, police, state police officers in some cases, local police, who do work in our schools. And most of them, contrary to what's believed, perform a preventative role. They build relationships with kids. They find out about these issues that start at home, things that may spill over into the school. So I think that is one tool. Trying to logistically put a kid in an officer rather in every elementary school would be an implementation challenge, a financial challenge, and I'm not sure it's something that we'd be able to do in a short term. I do think that the first and best line of defense is a well-trained, highly alert school staff and student body that has relationships with their mental health, police, and community partners, has crisis plans, has prevention programs. You know, Megan, we don't need metal detectors, we need mental detectors. We have a lot of these issues are people with mental health issues. It's not bullying always, it's not some real thing that you can get your hands on that's concrete other than mental health, and we don't want to talk about that and deal with that well in our society.
Boy, if the last few years haven't proved that, I don't know what they've proved. Ken, thank you.
The lone wolf factor, Megan, and as a mother yourself and as a dad, I've been in this business 25 years, and I have a very strange feeling here as I sit here talking with you today. As a parent, send your kids to school, talk with your school officials, don't panic. Find out what they're doing, see how you can support, go out on that playground if you can and help supervise. That adult presence is worth $1 million.
Amen. Ken, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Megan.
I want to get to Trace Gallagher. We've got breaking news now on the shooter and his mother. Trace, what can you tell us?
Well, the information we have, Megan, is that there's a possibility that the shooter's mother may have been a teacher at the school. But then we went onto the website of the school, and the 2 kindergarten teachers, they don't sound like it would be the mother. These are reports coming out of their local reports. Again, we have not confirmed them, that there's a possibility the mother worked at the Q. Let me just look down here. Going on to kind of, as we scan this, Ryan Lanza, 24 years old, lived in Hoboken, New Jersey, Megan. He went to high school in Newtown, Connecticut, from Newtown, Connecticut. His mom lived in Newtown, Connecticut, and apparently had some connection to the school, which is hard to understand considering he lived in New Jersey. But he was a graduate of Newtown High School, and police have confirmed there was a body found in there, and it is a very strong possibility the body body was the shooter's mother. We're now trying to get some more information about exactly what he did, did for work.
And Trace, just to jump in, because our Justice Department sources are telling us that Ryan Lanza's mother, Nancy, is presumed dead. That is now what we are being told. That his mother is presumed dead, that she did work at that school where the shooting took place, but it is unclear whether she was killed in the school or at her home. Also being told that his parents were divorced. It is possible that the mother lived in Connecticut, the father in New Jersey. We're still working to confirm that. But she is presumed dead. She worked at the school. They don't know whether she was killed in the school or at her home. I thought the earlier information was that they had found a body in the home nearby the school. Is that now in question?
No, that is the information we have, is there was a body, in fact, found inside the home belonging to the mother in Newtown, Connecticut, and that she worked for the school. And that the report went on to say the belief was that he targeted the mother first and then went and was targeting the students at the school. Now, remember, if you look at the chain of events, apparently he was let through the door sometime between 9:30 and 9:40, went directly to the administrative office and opened fire during the morning announcements and attacked the principal and the vice principal and a psychologist, and the nurse was in there. And while the morning announcements were being made, the rest of the school could hear the violence and the gunfire over the school intercom. And at that point, apparently went to a classroom. And we have said that a kindergarten class is unaccounted for. We don't know what classroom he went to, but apparently went to a classroom, opened fire, and shot and killed 18 kids. And now the information we're getting is that he apparently was going to the school targeting the kids to begin with. Whether or not, as reports say, these were her students or former students, still very much unconfirmed, but we are working to find out much more information about 24-year-old Ryan Lanza.
Yeah, and moments after we reported from our Justice Department, the New York Times also reporting now, I believe it's the New York Times also reporting now that the alleged school gunman killed his mother, who was a teacher at the school, along with students and others. The story does appear to be getting more clear at this hour, although understanding it remains impossible. We are also just getting comments from a father on the scene who spoke about the horror that any parent would feel upon hearing that their child's school has been targeted by a gunman. Listen here.
There's no words. There's no words. It's sheer terror and a sense of immediate urgency and to get to your child and to be there to protect them, because that's what you want. That's the immediate thing. Is my child hurt? They're alone. They're not with me. Yeah. How do I get to them?
The parents who are out there, you can just imagine the panic. The full body panic, and you could see it in some of the pictures we saw there was one mother who I saw earlier. She had blonde hair, and you could just see her wringing her hands. There's nothing you can do physically to channel the nerves and the panic and the terror that you're feeling until you know. And then there has to be somewhat of a guilty feeling as well when you find out that your child is okay. And so many others are not. Sorry, forgive me. I'm just hearing in my ear now that President Obama will make on-camera comments on this. Coming up momentarily, I believe it just after 3 p.m. Eastern Time, the president will speak to this incredibly awful school shooting in Connecticut that began today. We were hoping, there were initial reports on another channel that no children were injured. No reports of children injured, it read. And now we know the truth is very, very different. I want to get back now to Dr. Keith Abloh. He's a psychiatrist. He's a member of our Fox News Medical A team. And you think about that, Doc, is that those dual feelings of, thank God it wasn't my child, and then the awful, guilt, or, I don't know what the word is when you realize that you're feeling elated as other parents are mourning the sudden death of their 5-year-old at the hands of a man with a semi-automatic rifle who gunned them down like they were nothing.
Yeah, the random and cruel nature of this kind of act complicates things psychologically, even for the survivors, who will need help later on to try to put this in some kind of perspective. Because I've worked with people again and again for whom either having a tragedy visit or having survived it when, for instance, a sibling is stricken with cancer, having not been the one to get sick, leads them to feel forever unsafe, because the randomness of it the unfairness of it, the fact that there's not a lot that you as an individual can do to protect yourself from it, makes people visit their own mortality, and that fine thread from which we all hang earlier than you'd hope. And that's what these kids are contending with, what their families will contend with. These will be forever special children, perhaps, capable of extraordinary bravery or empathy, but also vulnerable in a special way.
Your thoughts now on what we're hearing about the fact that we believe this gunman killed his mother. We believe in the house outside of the school, but we're not sure about exactly how it went down. In any event, it appears now that he may have killed his mother, who was a teacher in this school.
Yeah, my thoughts are this, that as more facts come in, this will likely be another story where you say, well, the unthinkable and inexplicable now is fathomable. Like, we can see the train coming down the tracks, the awful collision coming, and sadly, spectators by the railway who felt disempowered or didn't feel it was their place to intervene enough, or even a therapist who didn't think it was time to pull the trigger, and hospitalize this person. I think right now this can be, sadly, a kind of laboratory where we look in and say, what could have been done? If it's nothing, fine, but it is likely there will be things that could have been done. And I can't tell you how many of my colleagues, I don't mean to call anybody out here, but in the mental health care system, I sometimes make very strange calls to ERs where I will say, listen, you got to hospitalize this person. He was in my office and he says he wants to kill somebody. And you'll hear back from a clinician, well, he's not saying that now. I'll say, no, now he's in the ER. I sent him there and he's saying that to leave. And they'll say, well, he's contracting for safety and the insurance company says they won't pay now.
Oh, good gracious.
Literally. So we have so much fixing to do of our mental health care system.
What's it going to take? 32 dead at Virginia Tech just a couple of years ago, and we didn't revamp the mental health system, and now you've got 18 dead kids. Is this going to do it? Is this enough?
I don't know if it's enough, because there's so much stigma attached to the mental health care system. There's so much reticence to balance, and it would be balance the rights of people versus the need to take care of some people when they don't want you to. We've got to get into that and empower the mental health care system to bring treatment to some number of people who don't want that treatment, but who represent real danger.
And now Fox News confirming that Ryan Lanza, the suspected shooter in this case, that his father was also killed in his home in New Jersey. This is in addition to his mother being found dead in Connecticut. Doc?
These stories, in my experience as a forensic psychiatrist, the strangers who pay the toll are paying it for intensely personal dramas connected usually to incredibly intense psychological conflicts between individuals who are very close to each other. We see it again and again. People killed because there's a spouse at odds with his wife who goes to her workplace.
I know, but I know you can't answer this, but I have to try. I just have to try because I think we're all trying. What makes you kill a kindergarten full of babies?
The terrible sense that you are disempowered and yourself spiritually dead makes you create in the world an awful canvas representing your interior world. That's that's not always the case, but that is one way to see this, that you project the fragmented nature of your internal world, the fact that you feel decimated, you create a symbol of that, an awful, terrible, monstrous symbol of it, as if this will be your legacy, that you have finally spoken and shown everyone what you've been feeling inside. That's the terrible, awful truth.
We learned that he's 24 years old. The shooter at the mall shooting near Portland, Oregon earlier this week was 22 years old. I mean, these are young guys, Doc, and you mentioned earlier the sort of how people lose themselves in certain online activities, gaming, what have you, and I don't know what the background was of these guys, but it doesn't seem totally coincidental that they're both in their young 20s and young men.
I don't think it's coincidental at all. I think we got to look at these forces that empower people to get some knowledge through the internet and so forth, but there are a lot of dehumanizing forces that come with that. Reality TV is no friend of preventing such things. Facebook is no friend of preventing such things, I have to say. And I think we're at a time, again, and we mentioned this earlier, we've now pushed the red line of the unthinkable into kindergarten classrooms. We've got to dial it back. We've got to show a big response here of grief, empathy, outreach to balance the monstrosity of this. And that's some kind, perhaps, of insulation against someone, again, out there saying, you know what, I think that's my forum. That's where I'm going to express myself. How fractured I feel is going to be seen in the blood on the floor of this classroom.
Dr. Abloh, thank you so much for helping us to the extent we can be helped to understand this. We appreciate you being here. I want to bring you this sad update as well. The number of children killed has now been increased to 20 children dead, 5 adults dead, and the shooter. So 26 dead, 20 of them children. The law enforcement community has not yet independently confirmed that these are kindergartners. That is just our belief based on other reporting we have done. One father said his 6-year-old son was in class when the gunman burst in and shot the teacher. The son grabbed a bunch of his friends and ran out the door. He was very brave. He waited for his friends. The shooter did not say a word. Studio B will continue following this breaking story. Again, President Obama will speak to the nation at 3:15 p.m. Eastern Time. We appreciate you being with us on this important news day. We'll get through it together. I don't know that we'll figure it out together, but our coverage continues now with Studio B.
Words. There's no words. It's sheer terror and a sense of immediate urgency and to get to your child and to be there to protect them, because that's what you want. That's the immediate thing. Is my child hurt? They're alone. They're not with me. Yeah. How do I get to them?
Some politicians